Hello everyone, this is Janet Capel with the Socialite Production, where we are connecting the world through faith, culture, and entertainment. I am here with this handsome gentleman that I'm going to introduce shortly, but just go ahead and say hi to the people.
How's it going?
You see the voice? It's about to be a vibe. So this is the kickoff to a conversation series titled Love Stories. And each love story is going to be based on something different. Today, we're going to be talking about a vibe on love. And when we get started, you will understand why it's titled a vibe. You already heard the vibe coming from his hello, his greeting, but you will hear more of that in a minute. I want to first introduce myself and the platform for those who are new, and then we'll get into introductions, and then we'll get into the conversation. As I said, my name is Janet Capel. With this platform, the goal is to create space for people to tell their authentic story as it relates to whatever topic we're covering. And we are connecting the world through faith, culture, and entertainment. We do that in many ways, but this storytelling, the platform, is one of the main ways how we do that. As it relates to me, I'm a connector. I can't turn it off. I'm always connecting. I like to connect and bridge. He laughing because he knows. Bridge the gap between mindsets and perspectives, faith and culture. I'm an investor. So a lot of people invest in money, and yeah, I invest, do investments, but I invest in people. I love to empower, inspire, motivate people to grow, and I myself like to be inspired as well. I'm a woman of faith. I have a strong bond with Christ. We're very tight, and that's how I like to describe it as it relates to my faith. The light that shines from a Socialite Production is his light, not mine. If you see me acting any kind of other way, then that light isn't his. It's my light. Culture. I'm a woman of culture. I'm a first-generation Liberian American, born and raised in Charlotte in the Liberian community and culture. So I love my culture, and that's a lot of the conversation that takes place on this platform as well. Entertainment. Everybody who knows me knows that I am full of life, and I live it to the fullest. So I love entertaining. I love entertainment. I love to just be. As you see us talk, you're going to see he is the same. I think it's the key to being able to live life well no matter what the circumstance is. And so I'm going to stop there. There's so much more to know about me, but I think I would rather y'all hear more about our guest for today. And so we're going to start off with introductions, and then we're going to get into it. Kevin, you ready?
Absolutely.
So let's go. Kevin, you already spoke to the people, but tell them a little bit about yourself. Tell them your name, where you're from.
All right.
We can start there.
Absolutely. My name is Kevin Stricklin. I'm from Lansing, Michigan, by the way of Charlotte, North Carolina. Mm-hmm. I got here in 1990, so you might as well say I'm from Charlotte.
Who is Kevin Stricklin?
Kevin Stricklin is a regular guy who likes to have fun, who loves sports, who loves people, who loves his family, who loves to basically just live life to the fullest. Stay away from a bunch of foolishness if I can help it, even though sometimes I'm in the mix of it.
Yep.
So it's a lot of different angles when it comes to Kev.
Yes. And I'm sorry, you're supposed to be describing yourself.
That's okay.
Okay. He's a whole vibe, y'all. What's interesting is when I was sending him an overview of the conversation for today, his email is Loving Life. Is it Loving Life?
Yeah, Loving Life 24/7.
The conversation is love stories, a vibe on love. Perfect, just perfect. But he is love. He represents so much of love. But
I'm love sometimes, not love all the time. But I get what you're trying to say.
He's love. Do you want to tell the people what you do?
Yeah, sure. I'm an entrepreneur. I own a small trucking company that is big in God's eyes because He is the one that created it. I try to employ people, empower people, just try to talk to people about growing and know that they can be self-sufficient and do whatever it is that they feel like that they can do, as long as they put their mind to it and put God first.
Y'all see why I say this is the vibe? He's flowing and he's preaching, and I'm not trying to clown him. I just love the essence of who he is and what he represents, how he can blend in with culture but stand out because the God in him. So while I'm a socialite, he's the male version of a socialite, right? And go ahead.
Well, I guess you could say that. But before we go too far, I do love the Lord. I do love God and all the things that come with it. But I also sin, and I also do a whole bunch of other things that we'll get into that don't line up with God sometimes. So I know where the good comes from, but I also operate in the bad from time to time. So I just didn't want to, confuse the people and have them
I don't
thinking.
think they confused.
Oh, okay.
They know the vibes. They know the
Okay.
vibes. But at the end of the day, again, that's why I chose you, because you're real. And when we talk about, and we're getting too far, we're going too far, it's just the introduction. But when we talk about faith, that's all a part of it.
Right.
Faith is not walking the fine line. Faith is living, discovering, relearning.
Mistakes.
But let's pause. Let's wait until we get to that bucket.
Okay.
Let's do that, because we're about to go deep. Okay. Before we get into it, I have a question for him. So the conversation is a vibe on love, right?
Right.
So from Kevin Stricklin's perspective, how do you define love? How do you see love? What is love?
Well, love is patient and love is kind. I know that's scriptural, but in real life, that's exactly what it is. Because you have to be patient and you need to work in kindness if you can. So that has always been surrounded around me since a child. So that's why I try to operate in it. Not so much from a romantic perspective, just far as just how you embrace people, how you deal with people, how you handle people. Ever since I was a kid, I've kind of been spoiled, from my grandparents to my aunts, my uncles, my big cousins, everybody. So therefore, I have this kind of expectation on how I think I should be treated sometimes.
Right.
So, sometimes it can get a little bit, I don't really know a good word for it, but I'm sure you do. And maybe I'm spoiled myself as an adult. So I have an expectation on how I think I should be treated, but I also try to treat people in the same manner. So when it comes to love, that's how I would basically describe it. It's how you treat people and how you operate. It matters how you treat people that you don't know. It matters how you hold the door if you can. It matters how you allow people in traffic if you can. Now, with all those things being said, I can be kind of quick with it if somebody says something wrong to me. So therefore, that's why I say I can go back and forth. I
Don't
love
get it
God.
twisted.
Yeah, absolutely. I love God, but sometimes, I operate in the natural.
That was a good breakdown. That was a really good breakdown as it relates to love. And he touched on some of the scripture that I'm going to go over when we go a little bit further as it relates to love from a faith perspective, those who are believers. But thank you for that. Thank you for that. You stepped on my toes in some of those areas, though, especially when you talked about traffic. Because I'm not really patient when I drive.
Oh, I understand.
I'm not. So I got to work on my love. Yeah, we
all got our areas.
We do.
I do as well. I do want to say one thing, if you don't mind.
Of course.
For people that know me that might see this video and they're looking at it like, I know Kev is not up there doing an interview or a podcast or whatever. And I understand that because I'm a very, very, very private person. I would never do anything like this, and I've never done it before. But when Johnette asked me about it, I wanted to say no. I'm sitting here still wanting to say no, but for some reason we're here. So I guess it's a purpose in this.
It is. And that was actually a good segue into our first topic. And so when we talk about love stories, we're going to cover 4 different areas, right? We're going to start with the foundation of love, which is Christ. We both are believers. If you're not, that's fine. You believe whatever you want to believe, but this is our story, so we're talking about it from our perspective. So we're going to talk about the love of Christ, the foundation of love. We're going to talk about love for life, love for self. We're going to talk about love for hip-hop. You can hear how he talks. It's like he's flowing when he talks. He ain't even trying. It's just in him. So we're gonna get into that, and we're going to end. We're going to end on the hot topic of love for relationships. Not just dating, but family and friends. And so as we go through these, I want you guys just to think. This is not just for you guys to listen to us, but it's to listen to whatever God is telling you. What I always say with all of my conversations, it doesn't matter what it's about. My prayer is that you will not hear us, but hear what God is trying to say through us. And right now, he's just flowing through Kevin, whether he knows it or not. So he set up the stage for the first topic, which is love for Christ. As you can see, he loves God. He loves Christ, right? I do as well. This whole platform The vision of it, the foundation is Christ. A social light production, that light is not my light. Like I said, it's his light. And so what God told me for this year, this is a vision lifestyle. This year, be intentional about making vision your lifestyle in everything you do, right? And so when you talk about vision, the creation of humanity, God had a vision. He had love for us to establish purpose, to establish vision. And so when we met this week, we were like going over just what we're going to talk about. I think you mentioned, did you say playbook? Did you refer to the Bible as a playbook? What did you say? Roadmap. Playbook, roadmap, however you say it, it's the blueprint to life. But I wanted to start the conversation, the meat of the conversation out by talking about what's love from a biblical perspective and who love is from a biblical perspective, right? So many of us been to weddings. I know you've been to, have you been? Okay, yeah. So we've been to several weddings.
I've been to a few.
You've been to a few. But every wedding you go to, well, at least that I've been to, 1 Corinthians 13 is read. And that's read because it talks about what love is. But this isn't limited to marriage, right? This is life. So I'm going to go through these scriptures, and then we're going to talk about it a little bit. We're going to vibe on it a little bit. He already touched on it, talking about what love is, but we're going to go a little bit deeper. And so 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 8. Love is patient, love is kind, love does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud. It does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but it rejoices in truth. It always protects, it always trusts, it always hopes, it always perseveres. Love never fails.
Okay. I just heard something you said that was interesting to me because I've seen that scripture many times. Mm-hmm. But it said it does not easily anger. Mm-hmm. So I'm starting to question my own faith because I easily anger sometimes. So when we sit here and we have this conversation about our faith and about God and how good God is, anybody out there that's listening, you have to understand that you will have stumbling blocks. You will never have it all together at one time. Because I can sit in here right now and have this conversation and it can go good and it can seem like that I'm full of all this love. Then I can go outside and somebody can cut me off and I'll be a whole different person. So therefore, a whole journey it's a whole journey that we're taking. It's a lifelong journey that we're taking as far as this walk when it comes to how we love God and the things that we do for God.
You better preach. What did we send? What did they send a collection? Like
Stop playing.
I think I have.
I will put my cash app on there.
No, I'll give mine. Send it to me. I'll give him a percentage.
Oh, look at that, Coach! I hear you talking.
So he broke the scripture down more than I expected in reference to that part, but he's right. And a lot of times when you talk about love and faith, we sell perfection. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And anything outside of perfection, that's not faith. That's the narrative that I grew up on. And so I love that you keep pausing and you're speaking what faith really is. And it's just striving to continue to work towards love and walking this life out the way that Christ purposed you to.
Absolutely. I have a question.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh.
How real are we keeping this?
We're keeping it 100.
You sure?
I promise you.
Okay. I got it.
We're keeping it so 100 that this is going to remain in there.
What we doing right now?
What you're asking, yeah.
Okay.
So let's go. What you want to ask?
Love is kind and love is patient and all those other things. Me and you have had some situations that have tested our love.
It sure has.
Yeah. We've had some situations that has tested our love.
Mm-hmm.
But in that, what I've found that in time, we, in some type of way, get back to one another. Mm-hmm. I don't care if it's 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or whatever it is. We find
9 months, but go ahead.
we find a way to get back to one another. And I think that's one of the things that love does, because love forgives. Mm. You don't always have to say, hey, I'm sorry, or hey, I made a mistake. Sometimes, you can do that within yourself, and you can get back to what I like to call good people. because everybody makes mistakes.
Right.
Everybody has issues.
Right.
Everybody drops the ball sometimes.
Right.
Some people drop the ball more than others sometimes.
Yeah.
But you know, it's
Yeah.
all good.
Mm-hmm.
We still pick it up together and try to keep moving forward.
No, you're right, and I'm glad you're keeping it real. I don't have any brothers, and so when I have male friends in my life and male cousins, I cling to them because I'm getting what I did not get growing up. I have the love and support of so many females, but people like Kevin, they've taught me about relationships. Sometimes they have taught me a little too much that my eyes see what other females may not be able to see as it relates to dating or interaction or whatever. And so when you speak about love, I love Kevin, I love my other guy friends because they love me enough to be real. They love me enough to draw me in. They love me enough to tell me the truth even when I don't want to hear it. And would you add the...
Yeah, my bad.
Anyway, the thing about Kevin and I, we both are strong-willed, opinionated individuals, right? And so, not saying we both want to be right, but sometimes it's a little resistance depending upon what's going on. But here's the thing.
I agree.
Any real relationship, if you haven't had a spat or an argument or pissed each other off, I question the strength of that relationship.
Absolutely. Right? I don't question how real the relationship is, but I do question the strength of it. That was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
And
if you can't bounce back, what was you really doing? Yeah.
Like, if you can't tell me the truth, then I don't think I need you in my life.
I do want to say one thing. Some relationships you don't need to bounce back to. So let's
about to get on that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. So let's be clear. Some situations are detrimental to you. Some situations are not good for your growth. That doesn't mean that the person is bad. It doesn't mean that you're bad. It just means that the two don't mesh at that particular time. Maybe later on, maybe not. But that's when, again, you have to fall into the forgiveness because you got to learn how to basically, in my opinion, maybe not like something about a person or like a person, but still love them at the end of the day. And that sometimes is hard. At least it's hard for me.
Right. When you talk about love, and I love that you said forgiveness. While that's not in the scripture, it's not stated, but it's stated. Because forgiveness is love, but don't get it twisted. Forgiveness doesn't mean that we have to be in each other's lives. So when he's talking about the last time we connected, we just did not agree, and it just went far left. In this season, when it comes to friendships, when it comes to family, I recognize that everybody can't go. And it doesn't mean that something is wrong with you, but everybody just can't go, and I have to be okay with that. And so with that, that's how I took it, and I was like, I love you, Kevin, thank you, but I was good. We didn't say anything else, it was just distance. But then, like he said, it's like a magnet, it just came right back together. And so that's maturity.
I couldn't go for a minute. You weren't going to let me go with you for a second.
We'll go wait, tell me what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, you want to add to it?
No, I'm asking you. You said everybody can't go. So
no, everybody can't go with you.
Right, so at that moment, I couldn't go with you.
I don't know, but I was like, this is a distraction. I ain't got time to be worried about his attitude right now. Because he was tripping.
That's what I was trying to get to right there.
Tripping.
Okay. I'm going to let you have that.
All right, so we're going to bring it back because we were going a little too deep. But I am glad you brought that up because people need to see and hear realness as it relates to relationships. When we say relationships, that's friendships, that's dating, that's family, that's acquaintances. You just have to be real with what you feel. And sometimes being real with what you feel causes friction and causes disagreements and even separation. But when it's real, it will come back together. And even if it's not real, there's still no love lost from my perspective, right?
Absolutely,
so going to the next part of the scripture, Corinthians 13:11, it says, when I was a child, I talked like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. But when I became a man/woman, I put ways of childhood behind me. So pretty much we capture that. You have to be mature to understand how to forgive, to understand not everybody can go with you, to understand sometimes you need a break. But I don't know if you want to touch on that in verse 13:11.
When you're a child, a lot of times you don't understand things. So you do things as a child would do. You play, you act stingy with your toys. You get mad when somebody gets a bigger toy than you get at Christmas or something like that. But as you turn into an adult, you start to learn that it's okay for this person to have that. It's okay to share. It's okay to forgive. It's okay to not be mad and hold on to your anger. So when you're a child, you act a certain way. But when you turn into an adult, you're supposed to act another way. And sometimes it's hard to marry those two people. It depends on how you've been raised and, you know, some of the things that you've been taught, because that transition can be difficult, because it's more fun to talk about being an adult than actually being one. Because when you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because when you become an adult, you know, it's a lot that comes with that.
Yeah.
So I've learned the hard way in a lot of different areas that in one area I can be 100% mature, and then in other areas I might not be as mature. As we were speaking about before, when it comes to forgiveness sometimes for me, when it comes to my temper sometimes, now I won't hold anything.
Yeah.
You know, I might get mad in that day or two,
let it
but
go.
after that I'm good. But that's also part of immaturity, still being able to try to figure out a way how to not react to certain things that I might have even created.
Yep. Yep. And it touches on, it keeps no record of wrongs. I'm going back to the original. But yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's good. And then we'll end on Corinthians 13:13. It says, now these three remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. Faith, hope, and love.
Okay.
If you don't have nothing, that's fine. But I just wanted to end on that. Because we got to have faith, we got to have hope, and that's how we are able to love.
I think the biggest thing in that one is love. It pretty much brings
it
brings everything together.
Yep, it does.
I hadn't been to Bible study in a while.
Well, here we go, and you're leading it.
Oh, am I? Yeah, right.
You are leading it. Touch on this because it's directly related to why you're here.
Oh.
I kept hearing your name for this conversation, and we're talking, right? Because you don't do this. I know you don't do this. And so when I kept hearing your name, I'm like, Kevin? I can see somebody, Kevin? Yes. And so then when I asked you and you agreed, I was like, yes, this is intentional. Kevin has something that the world needs to hear. The world, especially his world, his family and friends that may not have seen this side of him. So thank you for being obedient to the Spirit, because you didn't do that just for me. You did that because you know, I assume you knew this is what you're supposed to do.
I didn't know anything. All I knew, I got in the truck and was like, I said yes to this? I can't believe this. Now I can't call her back and say no. So let's go ahead and do it. Because it's definitely nothing that I would think I would ever be doing.
Yeah, but I'm glad you did it.
All right.
Our next bucket is love for life, love for self, all in one. And so as I told you guys, my motto is I am life, and I live it abundantly. I live it well. I don't care what the season is. So through grief, through big assignments, through challenges, through blessings, I'm going to find a way to enjoy life. When you and I were speaking on this, and of course, again, going through everything, you made a statement, life is a vibe. I don't know if you remember saying that, but you said that. Okay. And obviously that, again, goes along with the title of the conversation, A Vibe on Love. Okay. What is a vibe? Why are you a vibe? Why is life a vibe? Kind of talk through that for them to...
I'm not sure why I'm a vibe. I never thought of myself as a vibe. Life is definitely a vibe because it comes with many different journeys that we're taking. We have ups, we have downs, we have good days, we have bad days. But the thing that's important is that as all these things are going up and down and sideways, that you try to continue to stay the course. Because if you don't, then you'll find yourself going up, down, sideways, and you want to try to be as consistent as possible because that's the way you find your stability in life, because it's easy to get off track. So if I was to say that life is a vibe, I would say that I kind of try to enjoy life. I like to travel a little bit, but not too much. I like my sports a little bit, but not too much. I love my television shows. That's a big thing for me. You know, I'm into that. I just like to have a good time. I like to enjoy life. You know, sometimes it get a little bit difficult. I love to laugh, and more than anything, believe it or not, I love my friends. I go to war for my friends. I like having friends. I like the friends that I have. So, I've been blessed in a lot of areas. So when you put it all together, I guess that's when you can say survive. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's survive according to your definition. Like, I'm definitely in agreement with that. Like, for me, life is survive. When I'm following the Holy Spirit, when I'm following Christ, and I know that's captured within how you live, but I'm just being specific, it helps life to be a vibe, because regardless of what I'm going through, I literally thrive. I'm able to thrive. I'm able to see past the distractions. I'm able to live. Now, just like Kevin keeps going back to, it doesn't mean that it's perfect. It doesn't mean that you don't have those days. It doesn't mean that sometimes you're like, I'm over this. But when you're focused and you're keeping that right perspective, you just vibe on.
Well, that's great. That's great. You're doing better than me in that area, because my vibes come on different wavelengths.
Mm-hmm.
So as we sit here and we speak on the scripture and we talk about how good God is, yeah, I still love 2 Chainz. I still love Jigga Man. I still love all kind of hip hop. I love parties, but I just don't really go out a whole lot.
Of course.
I love to see people dance. I love all the good things that come with the culture. I mean, some of the bad things that come with the culture. And I live a little bit too much sometimes. But at the end of the day, I still understand where my help comes from. So maybe that's what keeps my vibe up and down sometimes. So
it's the same message. It's just carried out different, because trust and believe. Sis ain't walking around here just listening to gospel music.
Right.
And I'll just stop there. Thank you for that. That was a good summary. That was literally a good sermon. But Kevin is preaching to you guys. It's just being done in a hip-hop-ish, flowish type of way. Would you agree?
Okay. All right. Okay.
And speaking of hip-hop, that's the next topic. Love for hip-hop. If you know Kevin, he's one of the biggest hip-hop heads that I know. He just flows. Even as he talks, it's like he's, you can just vibe to it. And I'm not clowning him. That has always been the case. I want him to go a little bit deeper. And so, Kevin, I want you to tell the story. Tell your hip-hop love story. Let's go back and talk about when you first fell in love with hip-hop. Paint the picture for the people.
Okay. I believe it was the late 70s. And back then I was in Lansing, Michigan, which is an hour or so away from Detroit. And that's where Motown was at. So with Motown, you got all the R&B artists, which my mother used to listen to all the time, and my aunts and uncles. But one day she came home with this album cover, and it had this big candy cane on it, and it was a Sugar Hill Gang. I'd heard the song before, but once I heard that, it felt like it changed my life. And ever since then, I've been in love with hip hop. So I believe that's when it started, in the mid to late 70s. Yeah, absolutely.
You never left since.
Never will leave. I'll mature with it, but I won't leave.
What do you like about it? Let's go deeper, and even not where it started, but even how it's evolved. Because real quick, one thing about Kevin, I'm sure you kind of listen to some of hip hop now, which is totally different. Yeah, but you always tend to let's remind people. Like, you always take us back. So talk about why. What is it about hip hop that you love so much?
I think I like hip hop so much because it's the culture, and I believe that I'm a big part of the culture. I love the culture. I love my people. I'm not saying there's some people I don't love, but I love my people. So I also love music. I love the sound of music. I love how it hits. I love how it makes me feel. Mm-hmm. So I love R&B as well. It just happens to be that I love hip hop a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And I love how when people are rapping and they put words together and tell stories, that has always blown my mind. Mm-hmm. How they can sit back and start here from maybe a child and end it all the way to the age that they're at, or be like a Slick Rick and tell a hip hop love story, teenage love.
Right.
And as they're telling the story, you can relate to it.
Right.
Like, I remember when I was in high school, I remember that girl I liked. And so all those things are basically the reason that I love hip hop so much.
So instead of, I know you probably have several songs. So what is that one hip hop song that just make you go?
This is for all the whole haters. Everything Jay-Z has ever done. Everything he's ever done has made me go, one way or the other. I love Jigga Man. I love Slick Rick. The first person that I probably loved, which was a solo artist, was Big Daddy Kane.
Oh, yeah.
Big fan of Big Daddy Kane. Till he started posing and stuff. Yeah, I was like, I get back at you.
Leave Big Daddy Kane.
I get back at you.
He may be watching this, don't offend him.
I'm still a fan though. There's a lot of songs.
You didn't mention Kumo D. You like, is it Kumo D?
Kumo D.
Is it Kumo D?
Yeah, it's Kumo D.
I didn't hear you mention.
Yeah, I was never.
But that's he's a classic.
Yeah, he is. But I was with L back then.
Oh, okay. I mean, you can be with both. Okay, sorry. This is his story. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
I'm sorry.
I understand what you're saying. See, that's a great point that you just made when it comes to hip hop. I guess you can be with both, but for somebody like me, like I'm with Jay-Z and Biggie, and then you got some that's with Tupac and Snoop. You understand what I'm saying?
You're loyal.
Yeah, I mean, I am loyal in all areas of life, but I just got certain people that I like a little bit more than others. I'm sure you understand.
That's his story, not mine, right? Now, to end this part of the conversation, do you want to... I feel like we need to hear a flow. I'm sure you be at home just rap. Can we just hear a flow? Just one verse or something.
No, I'm not rapping for you, John.
Just one. You're not. No, it's not for me. It's for the people.
We keeping it super real, right?
Oh Lord.
Love you to death. Love you to death. So happy to be here, but I'm not getting ready to come up here and rap. We didn't even talk about rapping.
Well, it's supposed to be authentic.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to tell you everything that I'm going to
I got you.
Okay.
Yeah, that was good. You slipped that in there. You see how I slipped it back in there and said, no, I'm not rapping for you, Johnny.
He's going to rap before this ends. I promise you. I'm having a good time. Are you having a good time?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So you happy you did this? Or are you still wondering, like, why am I doing this?
I'm still kind of wondering. I might wonder when I leave.
But you do know that, like, it's no backing out. Like, this is content we're going to keep. So I'm just saying.
I understand. We here.
We here. Let's go. Let's go. All right. So we're about to speak about love for relationships. And when we speak about relationships, every time we use the word relationship, so if I say, I'm in a relationship with Kevin, I guess if you say it like that, you would assume we're dating, but it's a relationship, a friendship, it's a vibe. Then you also have other relationships that are romantic, or you have relationships that are family, or just whatever have you. But the bucket is relationships. And so Kevin, just to touch on him a little bit, he said he loved his friends, you love your family, you love relationships. He is a really great person to have as a friend. And I'm not saying this to try to blow his head up. I'm going to probably renege after we leave here.
You can believe that.
But no, but he is. He is. Because when you speak about 1 Corinthians 13, he legitimately tries to operate in that. So much so that sometimes when you're talking or we're debating, he tries to be neutral just to avoid, like, coming off as judgmental. And I'm like, just have an opinion. It's okay. You're not being judgmental. But then when he has an opinion, then we fight. No, but seriously, you are very kind. You are always there. I know it's not just me, but anyone who you consider a friend or family can call you, and you will show up to the best of your ability. So right. I just want to personally and publicly tell you, thank you.
Oh, wow.
Thank you, seriously.
Wow, I appreciate that.
Thank you. Talk about your love for relationships as it relates to your family and friends. Let's start there. Or even your son, because we talked about that.
Oh, man. Oh, my son. That is by far the greatest gift God has ever given me. Yeah, by far. 6/12/2000. He's special. He's special. That's my guy. I love him to death. And before he was born, I was, let's just say I was kind of sort of on a different journey. Mm-hmm. And then when he came, it just changed my life. It made me see things differently. It made me value life more. It made me value, it didn't make me value family anymore because of the fact I've always loved family. but it just made me see the importance of being here and trying to make the right decisions. He's very important to me, very, very important to me.
Yes.
And he's not just my son, he's my friend. He's my friend at this point. Now, that took a little bit of growing and some growing pains, but I feel like that he's comfortable enough to talk to me about anything, some things I have to find out, but I love my boy. Yeah, he means everything to me.
Since day one that, I met you, you always talk about your son.
Yeah, that's my boy.
Another love that you always talk about is your mama.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love your mother.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love my mother, because of my childhood and some of the things I've done in my childhood. It made us bump heads a few times in life, but we're past all that. She's everything to me as well as my son. There's probably the only two people in the world that you just don't ever want to bother. Probably the best way to put it. Yeah, I love them with everything inside of me.
I know you talk about your brother sometimes.
Yeah, that's my guy. That's my guy. I mean, everybody.
I know, but I want to talk about that core. Your family.
Your core.
Yeah.
See, that's hard for me to kind of answer my core because my core is kind of big.
Okay.
A lot of times people's core is their immediate family. But my core also is my cousins.
Of course.
What I mean? Like
Same here.
Like we're close.
Same
you know
here.
what I mean?
Yeah.
We're close.
Yeah.
My aunts and uncles,
of
and
course.
it's just my family and my friends. So my core is kind of big, and people, if you're close to me, I'll ride with you. Even if we fight or fall out or whatnot, I'll still ride with you because that core family and friends, it means a lot.
Now, hopefully this isn't too personal. If it is, you don't have to answer it. But I recall you used to wear a chain. Maybe you still have it on, and there was a picture of somebody, but I don't recall who that.
Oh, that's my grandparents.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, little baby. She was the GOAT. Ain't no question about it. Loved her to death. And my grandfather. Yeah. They. My grandfather, of course, raised me, taught me how to be a man, and how to be tough. And well, in some areas, maybe a little bit too tough that I'm still trying to work on, softening up in a couple areas. But my grandmother, she just she talked above my head, meaning that she would say things to me that I didn't understand at 10, 11, 12, but I grew into it. So that's why, like an example, she always told me things like, don't ever be jealous of anybody. No matter what, don't ever be jealous of anybody, just work hard. And she had a neighbor named Diane, and they both kind of told me the same message. So to this day, it's nothing that makes me jelly. Nothing, because that's what I was taught as a kid.
Right.
It might be some things that I can see that I like that people have.
Of course.
But it doesn't make me feel away.
Of course.
It makes me feel like either I'll go get it or it's not for me.
Of course.
Of
course.
So
it's like a motivator.
Yeah, it's a motivator.
Yeah,
it's a motivator.
Let's get into an interesting conversation. I like to say these dating streets. And so let me kind of set it up because it's interesting when I speak to my guy friends or family, those who are single, dating, looking for marriage. It's always a on each side, right? But I know some amazing men and women who are great catches. So I'm like, what is the problem? Why do you think it's such a disconnect as it relates to the opposite sex and dating? Do you think expectations are unrealistic? I would blame it on social media, but this was a problem before social media, right? What is your perspective on dating? They don't even have to be personal, just in general, what you see and hear.
I think dating is a beautiful thing. Dating can be fun. Dating can be a good experience. Dating can be where you can enjoy a nice meal. Dating can be a lot of things. But dating, I don't ever say dating is difficult. I enjoy it.
Okay.
So, not a lot, but it can be fun. What I'm trying
Can
to say.
we pause real quick? Let's kind of define what you, how you would describe dating, right? Because for me, dating is getting to know someone.
Okay.
That's it. But other people define dating as more. And so sometimes I think that's also a problem.
What do you
because
mean define it as more? Help me
like,
understand.
for instance, when I'm dating, nobody knows. Who do you date? Ain't none of y'all business. Because I'm trying to make sure I'm collecting the right information to figure out if this person is worth going to the next stage to meeting my family and being in my intimate spaces. That's for me.
Okay, I got what you're saying. Okay, I guess I would break it down like this. That's good, the way that you do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I do it. I don't think I break it down in segments like that.
Gotcha.
If I'm dating, I'm dating. So we doing what dating do. So that's why I was saying earlier, sometimes I kind of be all over the place. So for me, dating could mean going to the movies. Dating could mean dinner. Dating could mean just talking, or dating could mean come over and let's watch some television.
Or do Bible study.
No. I haven't really done Bible study while I'm dating.
Sorry.
There's nothing wrong with that. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I've never done that. First of all, I've been married before. Mm-hmm. I was married for 15 years. I love marriage, and in marriage, while I was married, we did a lot of dating. We went out to eat a lot. We did a lot of things together. So I kind of get the whole essence. We did everything together, actually. So I kind of get the whole essence of dating. I think when you're young, they date a little younger now, 13, 14, but let's say 17, 18 years old, 20, 25, 30. When you're dating at that age, nobody really has a true expectation of what they might actually be looking for.
That's true.
So they'll see people and they'll say,
true.
okay, this person looks good, this person looks good, this person has a good job, this person has a good job. They seem like they're nice. Let's see what happens.
Gotcha.
I think what makes what you call the dating streets a little bit more...
These dating streets.
Yeah, these dating streets a little bit more difficult these days is that it's hard to find two people that are going to be at the same place at the same time. Mm-hmm. And what I mean when I say that is you might have one person who is very, very mature, right? Then you might have another person who's very immature. Mm-hmm. You might have one person who is scarred and they're hurt and they're trying to heal, and you might have another person that's already healed. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of hard to meet people that are kind of in the same mindset that you might be at when you're older in life. So I think that's what makes it a little bit more difficult, but we still start off with this person looks good, I heard this about this person has a good career. And then when we try to bring those things together, it becomes a little bit more difficult at a certain age because you're bringing more baggage.
That's true.
But what I think you have to do is, this is when the scripture can come in handy.
See?
You have to be able to do what I struggle doing. You have to be able to look at people and say, okay, this person they might not be, I don't want to say not together.
I got you.
This person might be working on this. Just because you, myself, have already conquered that doesn't mean that I have to look at them like they got a long ways to go.
So love is patient.
Absolutely. So I think that's where the struggle comes in a lot of times. Mm-hmm. I hate to say the word hate, you know what I mean? Because it's not too many things I hate. But I hate this society that we're living in right now that has men against women.
Yeah.
And everything you look at is men against women. Just between the two people and what those two people learn to understand about one another, it's okay to have somebody to vent to.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
But it shouldn't be about all these extra noises. And so when you say that social media doesn't play a part, it does if you're active.
Right.
Because
and what you put out there.
Right. If you come home and you're watching this, you're already mad at your man. Then you watch this video of this goofy cat on there talking about when your wife comes in the house, you need to be able to read her energy.
Oh yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What energy your wife might have might not be the same energy that his wife might have.
Right.
You know what I mean? What might make his wife happy might not make your wife happy.
Right.
So you can't listen to all those things and try to apply it to your life.
You're right.
You can take a piece of this and a piece of that, and then, it can kind of mesh and
Yeah.
things can work out.
Yeah.
Long, short of everything, I don't think dating is difficult.
Okay.
I don't think that finding people is hard. I don't think any of that stuff is a problem. I just think that people, including myself, need to learn to be a little bit more patient and understand that we don't always have it all together.
Where's the mic? Somebody want to drop it? Let's drop it. Invisible mic. Come
We
on.
talking about a mic now. I
We
thought we was
about to
talking about a
drop
Cash App earlier.
Yeah, but we just dropping the mic, meaning
Oh.
that you just,
Okay,
ready?
yeah.
1, 2, 3, drop it. All right. So we keeping it all real, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody trying to have a gun show over here.
No, I'm not trying to.
You're
have a
not?
gun show.
Oh, it's just natural.
I'm just relaxing.
So, we were talking about these dating streets, and all of a sudden he wants to flex. Because he wasn't sitting like that before. I just want y'all to know.
What?
You were not sitting like this before.
Okay.
We talking about them dating streets, now you want to
No, I
lock
told you,
in.
I ain't in them streets at all. I'm chilling.
But to tie this in with a vision lifestyle, when you talk about dating, when you talk about love, when you talk about relationships, what makes it difficult, in my opinion, is there's no vision. And so when we talk about life, like for instance, we pick and choose what we want to be intentional about as it relates to vision, as it relates to purpose. And so I'm gonna kind of, let me backtrack. So last month, I had a conversation with 2 Liberian influentials, is what I would call them, Sungai Yates and Washington Kofi. And I asked them to describe what vision is and what lifestyle is. And Sungai made it very plain and simple. He said, vision is an idea. It's a mental image of where you are and, of where you want to go, right? And to add to that, it's like a mental image of who you're going to be and what you're going to create and what you're going to do. And so as we go through life, sometimes depending upon what it is, like if it's a career, if it's a certain thing we want to acquire, we're very intentional, we research, we're patient, we're waiting. But then in other areas, and I can use dating and relationships, you just do it. Yeah, you may have your thoughts or whatever, but you just do it, and then you're getting upset when it's not meshing. And the thing is, I've seen 2 great people together, great catches, but it doesn't work out because their vision is off. Because while you can be 2 great people, you're just not 2 great people for each other. I will never forget when I had my last birthday party before my mom passed away. It was 2016. When all my guy friends started coming and going to meet my mom, she literally, she was looking confused. And so then afterwards, she was like, Janet, so I don't understand. All these fine men and you don't date any of them? And I'm like, Mama, just because they look good doesn't mean that we're compatible. And that is the mindset to me and the problem when it comes to dating. When you're younger, of course, like he made the reference, you ain't thinking about it from this perspective. You're looking at the exterior, what they do, what they have, how they can make you feel. In this age, this level of life where I am, dating is not difficult because I have a vision, so I'm selective. And so I want to touch on that with you, Kevin. Not just with dating, but with love and whatever aspect you want to touch on it. Are you intentional as it relates to vision, as it relates to what you're looking for, or you kind of just go with the flow?
I believe I'm a little bit of both.
Okay.
Yeah. I have vision, of course, on what I might want for my life, but at the same time, I kind of go with the flow because I don't want to get so caught on vision that I miss the flow. So if you sometimes so stuck on vision, it'll stop you from seeing what's right in front of you because you're like, I'm supposed to be over here, but sometimes you might have to take a little tour to get over here, a detour to get over here, and that might be where your purpose is at. You know what I mean?
So, no, I feel you, but I kind of want to go a little bit deeper for perspective. So
All
let's say this table, just
All
the table itself and the circumference of it, that's vision, right?
All right.
So to get to each point, there is a certain path as it relates to what God will have, but it's not so like you have all this to play with.
Okay.
But this is the circle, right? And so as you're playing, you have to make sure you're keeping your focus on the vision, the circle, because if you go outside of it, now you're out of line. But if you're playing within here, then it's all up for you. Because when you talk about vision, it's supposed to be the what do you say, the roadmap?
Yeah.
The roadmap, right?
Yeah.
That's
Roadmap
what
to life.
roadmap to life. So when you talk about vision and purpose, it all aligns. So if I'm going back to the roadmap, let me see what God said I'm supposed to do, because this person is an amazing catch, but it doesn't align. While that other person, yeah, they're okay, but it directly aligns with the vision that God gave me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes plenty of sense. What I notice is, I think what you might be speaking of is possibly coloring outside the lines. And I think where people make the mistake in doing that is, if you're going to live this life in a way that everything lines up with God, you can't be trying to date somebody who's not walking in that same type of order that you're walking in just because you've seen them at 1501 and they look good and they talk nice. You understand what I'm saying? Because that's when you begin to color outside the lines. You got to kind of stay with what it is that your purpose is allowing.
Yeah.
So that's why I say, for me, sometimes I go with the vibe and the purpose. Maybe sometimes it'll mess me up, but I kind of dance around a little bit, because if I'm just going, again, just talking about for me, if I'm just going to say, hey, I want this particular woman that's in church every Sunday, understands the same thing that I might understand about God, make sure that she doesn't do this, that, and the third. I can't go over here just because I see this fatty and it looks real good and it doesn't line up with what it is that I'm trying to do. So I got to kind of stay with what it is I'm trying to do, regardless of what it might look like or what it might feel like.
I think we're saying the same thing, just saying it different. Because what I'm hearing is still vision. Because you know where your playground is in order to kind of fit whatever it is that you're expecting. But what you're saying too, I want to kind of put it out there again. This is just my perspective. I want to see your thoughts. Sometimes, so when you talk about vision, we think it will always line up where everything will work out, or it'll just be, or y'all just be vibing together. Sometimes there will be challenges. Okay. And if you're not focused on what God is saying and the purpose for that person He's aligned you to, you will think because of the challenge, oh no, this ain't God. We don't need to be together. Now it doesn't. You have to discern. Some challenges are good, some aren't. But when life doesn't go the way you think it's supposed to go, sometimes we think that's a sign that we're outside of purpose.
That's great. That's exactly what I was trying to say when it comes to her. Let's say that her and a guy friend start to date and they have a different way of watching movies. You know what I'm saying? He might not be lined all the way up far as she is. Right. You understand? So now here comes, not intentionally, I don't think. Here comes I hate this word, but it's the reality in this particular situation. Here comes the judgment a little bit. Like, I don't know, Kev, he didn't line up with me this particular way and this. Well, you knew that there was a possibility that he might not line up with you right now in that particular area, and vice versa, because they do this, and this, but it just didn't disagree with your spirit yet.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So once it disagrees with you, now all of a sudden it's about them. When in reality, it should have been about you before it even got to the disagreement. Yeah. I think we spend a lot of time when things start to go left at pointing fingers. Right. No. You understand what I'm saying? And so, exactly, I understand what you're saying. What I try to do, I might, in the beginning, when an argument or something like that happen, I trust and believe. After things cool off, 24 hours, 48 hours, I start saying, Kev, what did you do in this thing? What did you bring to this? Yep. How did you get this to where it's at? You understand what I'm saying? So sooner or later, I'm going to get to me. Yeah. Probably sooner. You know what I mean? So, whatever it takes to kind of smooth things out and get to where it's supposed to be. I just like peace. I like to get along. Doesn't always happen, Right. Sometimes things happen. But for the most part, I'm going to try to work back to the peace. Right. Even if that means we just good friends. I'm going to always try to work back to the peace. Right. Right. And you hold yourself accountable. So, like, for instance, when we had our disagreement,
and we just both let it go, you know, because we don't necessarily have time to be holding grudges, but at the same time, did I drop the ball? Did I mess up? Did I do whatever? Like you self-reflect.
Yeah,
and you're not even looking for the person to admit it, whether they admit they're wrong or not.
I don't need that.
This is what I did. Let me get this off my chest, right? And so that's love. All of this ties back to love.
Let's be clear. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, yeah.
Let's be clear. Mm-hmm. Where I have to grow up at, where I definitely have to grow up at, I'm horrible at doing that in the moment.
I mean, that's everybody.
You know what I'm saying? In the moment, I'm busting my gun. Bottom line, so, you know, you give me the best of you, I'm going to give you the best of me. It's just that after that, and it don't take long, I'm able to settle down, okay, what did I do with this?
And I think that it may be safe to say that's the majority of people, even though it's not about people, but when you're in the heat of the moment, sometimes you're able to hold back, and even if you are able to hold back, you may not apologize or may not change your tone. So at the end of the day, whether you do it in the moment or after the fact, you're still holding yourself accountable to right.
A lot of people don't.
You're right, but it's not about people. It's about us. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I've had an amazing time. I'm not sure if you did, but Kevin actually exceeded my expectations of how he was going to deliver, and he claims he doesn't do this, right?
Never.
But thank you for joining me today. This has been a vibe. So exactly how we are, how we talk in private, we brought it out to the public. And we had to kind of reel it back a little bit, but they got to see Kevin. And what I'm really happy about is people who know you but don't know you, they got to see more of your heart.
Oh, okay.
So hopefully you feel good about that. If you don't matter. It's still gonna be published. But let's wrap.
See, that's why we be fighting when you be like, it don't even matter. It don't even matter.
So let's wrap. But no,
I thought you said it was about me.
It is about
you.
Yeah,
but don't be letting
when is it always about just the man? Of course, we gotta, to wrap all of this up, right? No, seriously, because I want you to leave the people with a takeaway on love, and I'm going to have my creative director propose this question. Behind the camera is my good friend / community cousin, Jamal Stewart, aka Gentleman Brand. You have seen him on my platform, but you will see more of him later. But Jamal, I know you're behind the camera, right? I know you don't want to come on camera. If you want to come on camera, you can sit and ask this last question, but let the people hear your voice and let Kevin hear your voice.
Absolutely. So, had an awesome time listening to your outlook about love. My question to you, what would you like to leave your lasting impression and your lasting statements about your outlook on love for the audience?
Thank you, first off. And I enjoyed myself. I appreciate it. I guess I can say that love is forgiveness. So if you're going to operate in love, you have to learn how to operate in forgiveness as well. And understand, kind of like the scripture says, love is patient and love is kind. And if you can kind of try to, which is hard for all of us to do, master that, I think that you can get to a place where you can actually enjoy what love stands for.
That is true. That's good. That's good. Eventually, I want to get different generations of men in the room, representing different cultures, because everybody is at a different place in life and they progress, right?
Right.
And sometimes you may have a look that you think, hey, is there anything past this? But you have an elevated perspective.
Okay.
Right. And so, and again, Jamal, if you don't have anything, that's fine. But what's one question that you were probably thinking of as we were talking through this?
Absolutely. So I'm a few years younger than the conversation in Mr. Kevin's point of view. Mm-hmm. So what I would ask you, as a man of your age and your tenure, what would you tell to the younger brother about love? Mm-hmm. And what is the greatest lesson you have learned about love when it comes to intimate relationships?
That's good.
Yeah. That was real good. If I was talking to my son, mm-hmm. and he was having a conversation with me about some young lady that he met, That boy is a trip. I'm thinking about some of the conversations we already had. If I can push him past the surface and he can get past how fine this woman is or how beautiful she is and try to get to know her and, you know, but meet her family, her meet his family, understand what their goals may be in life, understand what the roles that they might be wanting in life. It's just about communication. A lot of times what happens in relationships, you have a lot of fun, but you don't do a lot of talking. And then even if you do a lot of talking, you do a lot of surface talking. Because I think people are afraid to get down to the nuts and the bolts and the nitty gritty and ask things, you know, serious questions like, what do you think about us saving money together? You know, you have to be able to, you know, how do you feel about God? How do you feel about going to church? How do you feel about tithing? You know, how do you feel about a lot of things? And I know that a lot of times we don't think about those type of things, but if you can get past that surface part, you know, you can learn a lot about a person. But I think that starts at home on how we teach our children. Me and my boy's mother thought we was doing a good job, and boy looked at both of us and said, you blessed me, so what do you want me to do? So they have to learn sometimes for themselves. So people have to learn sometimes for themselves, but if you put it in them, it'll come out of them later on.
Right. That's good. Go beneath the surface.
Yes.
And again, as Kevin talks, I know he's not saying vision, but that's what he's saying. You have to communicate. You have to see, does this person align with whatever I see for my life and my future? Because whatever the standard of each individual, you want to make sure it aligns for the most part.
You know the beauty of what you just now said? That was really good. The beauty of what you just now said, there's also compromise.
I was going to say that too.
Okay, cool. Right. There's compromise. So we're just using church, you know what I'm saying? It's a good area for us to be talking about. They don't have to go every Sunday. You understand what I'm saying? And nobody has to, but you want to both believe in God.
And I hope you got a relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, it's just different little things like that. Now, you might have somebody that likes sports and, you know, they want to go to home games to the Hornets or what have you. And once you get married, you want that to be your partner. She might not want to go all the time, but a gift to you might be going once a year. And she might be somebody that likes plays.
Right.
You know what I mean? She might like stuff like that. So you might not be the person that likes plays, but compromise and go to a play with her once a year or something. Yeah. You know, she might want to go to vineyards. That might not be your thing. Hip hop concerts might not be her thing. Just compromise, and if you compromise, you can really work well together, in my opinion. Yeah. Young man. Since you kind of talked to me like I was seasoned out here,
but you are. But
no, I'm just playing with it.
No, I know you. But the thing is, Kevin, and you know, didn't disclose his age, but he's an older gentleman. But the thing about him is he can still speak on different levels, and obviously he's speaking from an elevated level. He's experienced life, so the mindset is different. But you're planting seeds. You're planting seeds, and you're watering seeds.
What I will say is, we touch on a lot of different entities about love, but one thing I've heard a overarching touch to it, but we didn't really dive into it, and I believe the two of you can touch and agree when I say this. In order for us to show any type of love to anything, we have to have a great reception of love for oneself. So I didn't hear that during this segment, but what can we speak to when it talks about us truly loving who we are as individuals in order to love other people, or in order to show love to family and children and outside? What does it mean to love oneself first?
Yeah, so we were talking about love for life/self, but we kind of touched on life and not self. But no, Kevin, he wants to hear from you.
That's a great question, but that's kind of difficult for me. And the reason that it's difficult for me is because I love me some me, no question about that, but I'm heavy on the humble. Yeah, super heavy on the humble. So I do understand that you do have to, I like to say, a value. And I understand that it's love, but I value myself. You know what I mean? There's some things that I'm just not going to do. And then there's some things that I do that might, you know, make me feel a certain type of way. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I still have, I guess, standards.
Yeah.
And so with those standards that I have, I try to make sure that the standards match how I try to love myself. When I was young and I first started learning how to drive, my uncle told me to respect the power of a vehicle, respect its speed. So because I love myself, I ain't really in no big hurry to go nowhere. You understand what I'm saying? So my point is, if you love yourself, it's certain things that you're not going to rush to do. You know what I mean? You're going to take your time as much as possible, and you go in certain places that you might not go. So as much as you say I love hip hop, and I say I love hip hop, I don't care how good the music is over there if they shoot.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's very important to understand who you are. Matter of fact, the more that you understand who you are, the less you will put up with foolishness. You have to know your value. Once you know your value, it's certain. It's kind of like our grandparents when we were kids, and they were what I call the very first podcasters. So I say that to say that your grandmother would be like, don't go over there with them. Pull your skirt down, girl. Make sure you do, because they were trying to put value on you. You know what I mean? They were trying to make sure that it was certain things you do. You know, they talk more to women about whom not to give themselves to, and they talk more to men about what crowds to kind of run with.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you don't get in trouble. But that was all putting a value on you.
That's true.
So you know what not to do, or at least you try to know what not to do. And I think that's a lifelong journey.
Yeah, that's good. And just to touch on it a little bit, Jamal, I know you were talking to Kevin, but from my perspective, self-love has been a journey, right? So when you look at TV and you look at images, and like for instance, I'll use my big sister as an example. Her body in our eyes, she's always been perfect. Always had the Coca-Cola bottle shape, looked like, she shaved all of the love hand, just perfect. Now, when I look at old pictures of myself, I'm like, why in the world did I not value my body? Because now I'm bigger than what I was when I thought I was big then. But the whole point is it had nothing to do with my sister. It had to do with my vision. I didn't see myself. And I didn't see myself because I didn't truly know who I was in Christ and who he created me to be, right? And to be honest, it wasn't until really my mom passed in 2017 and my world literally got flipped upside down, and I had to relearn what faith is, because I thought I knew what faith was, but I didn't, right? I knew it, but I didn't know the true essence of it. And God started to speak to me and show me who I am. Why was I created? And so through that journey, I'm not saying that I got it right then, but through that journey, that's why I've been able to birth a socialite production. Because I know who I am. I know whose I am. I know where I'm going. I have vision. And so all my imperfections, it is what it is. Like now I can post pictures online of me after a run, circles around my eyes. Now granted, I do try to do a certain angle so you can't see the dark circles. But it's been one of my places of insecurities, but I learned how to embrace it and love it. And I know that seems surface or superficial, but it was a real thing for me. As it relates to me even sitting up here speaking to you guys with this platform, never in a million years, people who don't truly know me don't know that I used to be an introvert. To stand up and speak or record, you'll see sweat all on my shirt because I'm just nervous, right? But God told me who I am, and he told me what I'm supposed to do, so I'm doing it. Ready or not, I'm doing it. And it even gives me joy. I knew he was going, hip-hop, you can't turn it off. But even for Kevin to be sitting on this platform, he does not do this. But because he doesn't do it, but he knows that it's what he's supposed to be doing, so he's just doing it. And you don't see any level of insecurity with him sitting up here. That's how you know when you're sure of yourself, because God can put you in places that you don't think you belong, but because he puts you there, you know that's what you're supposed to be. So to me, that's self-love, that's knowing your worth, that's knowing you have purpose, that's knowing that you belong.
yeah, I still don't know if I'm supposed to be doing this, but I appreciate that.
Whether he knows it or not, he's here. He's rocking it out. So this has been amazing. So Kevin, I just want to thank you again. I don't know if there are any official last words you want to say, just in general.
Not really. Thank you as well.
Absolutely.
I enjoyed myself. Nice to meet you. Yeah, this was fun. I apologize to anybody out there who thinks I'm wearing shades. These are actually prescription glasses. They just made them a little bit darker than I like, and I'll get it right. So I don't want anybody looking like, why this cat got glasses?
So you're not trying to be cool? You're not trying
not
to
at all. Not
you know,
at all.
represent hip hop shades?
No, not at all.
No,
not at all.
okay.
That's why I wanted to clarify.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you for clarifying that for
No
the people.
question about it.
But no, thank you, and thank you to my creative director behind the camera, as I mentioned before, Jamal Stewart. Gentleman Brand, I'm going to tag him on this post so that you can follow him. There is so much that's coming from this dude. And I'm saying this dude not to be disrespectful, but just he's coming. And I think this conversation with Kevin enlightened him in some areas. There's so much more that's coming from this dude, but he thinks he don't belong here, but he's coming. So I don't know, do you want them to follow you on social media or you want to stay private?
I'm good.
Okay, since he doesn't want to give his social media, I will. I believe the Instagram is GoHard721.
Yeah, that's it.
And I believe on Facebook it's Kevin Stricklin. Is it?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so follow him. Go in his DM. Give him a hard time. He said dated. Let me stop. I'm doing the most. But
Yeah,
follow him.
a whole lot.
But you can follow him to keep up with the happenings of Mr. Hip Hop. But thank you, Kevin. Thank you,
Absolutely.
everyone. Stay tuned for more love stories. I cannot wait to bring you more perspective on what love is. A Socialite production. We are connecting the world through faith, culture, and entertainment. Have a good evening or night or morning or whatever time you're watching this. Bye. And volume. Is it recording?
It's recording.
Okay, so Kevin, one thing I always do, I know it may sound weird, but you should like it because you love hip hop, right? We do a mic check. It may seem playful, but it's just to hear how your voice projects, okay?
Alright.
So just follow my flow. Microphone check 1, microphone check 2, 3. Your turn.
Microphone check 1, microphone check 1, 2, 3.
Oh, he said 1, 2, 3. Okay. We gotta make sure now. Yo, you know your DM gonna be popping after this.
Nah, I don't need that. I'm good.
You don't need it, but I'm just telling you what's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
We're good.
All right.